Hey there, it's Mark from Dynamite Stocks and Stock Pursuit and the Substack. I just put a new Substack article out on IMPP, this petroleum and dry bulk shipper. So if you haven't subscribed to my Substack, it's it's stockpursuit.substack.com, and I'll just show you a link to it right quick. And it's Stock Pursuit, STOCK Pursuit, like the pursuit of happiness .substack.com. And I've been putting these deep value stock analysis up about every couple months or so. Just when I find them, I put them up because there's not always a lot of deep value stocks to cover. So, but I do cover the best ones I can find, and I've gotten some really good feedback on these, especially the last one, because I found this IMPP, which is it's a shipping company, and it's a dry bulk shipping and oil. They mostly do oil shipping, but they have a couple dry bulk shippers, and they are trading for less than their quick liquidation value or net current asset value. And they've got some pretty decent fundamentals. I mean, the nature of shipping is pretty cyclical, but the Baltic Dry Index has been soaring the past month or so, which I think is gonna help them kind of get over the hump here with the stock price at least. So the chart's really good too. It's like another triangle, and really good print today on technically. So it's a perfect triangle really, and so it's almost like the perfect setup there with the fundamentals and technicals. So that's one of my favorite fundamental stocks now, like deep value. So check out my Substack if you haven't subscribed. I do some pretty in-depth analysis that just kind of covers all the bases of the important things to me, and then I don't really do a ton of analysis in the articles, but I do enough just to, if it checks the boxes on enough things, it's good enough. So check it out. But the Baltic Dry Index has been in an uptrend since September, and it was in a big downtrend for a long time. It kind of peaked out with the cycle back in 2021. It topped out there in 2021, and it's been down since, and to me it kind of broke that downtrend, at least the momentum. So the fact that it's gotten up to these levels is pretty bullish. And it was interesting that it actually kind of peaked or it started to uptrend before the regional bank crisis or semi-crisis back in March. Because sometimes the Baltic Dry Index is a leading indicator, and throughout history it's been known as that. But that wasn't always reliable many years. It wasn't always like a leading indicator, but it seemed like it might have been there because it kind of went up there in February before the bank fiasco was over. But I'm bullish on the Baltic Dry Index now. So as we've seen with the shipping stocks, I've been covering a lot of Baltic Dry shippers, in these videos and things. So they've been doing pretty well, and I think IMPP is going to benefit from that too. But the main things I want to talk about were these long setups I had, like the CEI. CEI was one of my favorite long setups, and it was up today, and it went down and finished up near the high of the day, so it's pretty bullish with this hammer here. It's still a good long setup, and the APLT was amazing. That was one of my other major long setups today of the triangle, and it ran about 20% at the highs today. At least it was up about 16% on the day, and it's actually a new 52-week high. It hit the close today. Today's close was a new 52-week high close. So there's not many stocks out there doing that, So So I'm on to one there, I think, and I've got the shares. I bought the shares, some shares today, but they've got some some trials coming up. I think it's like phase 3, but I was mostly interested in the technical setup there with the triangle, but they've got some fundamentals going too. 'Cause they're a drug maker, and the other one was Siri, was another one of my favorite longs, and I bought some calls on this one again because it's just started breaking out again, and it's still a good setup. And the BYND, that one, it seems like it could be a bear flag, but it's got some strength here, and it's got a really high short interest. Like the short interest in a series, like 27% of the float, and then this one's very similar. I think it's like 30% short interest of the float. And the more I look at it, the more it looks kind of like a triangular, and but that could be a bear flag too. But it's not really done yet. I think it's gonna maybe go another couple days to figure out what it's gonna do. But it's definitely a short watch. I mean, a long watch for a short squeeze, because it could be a squeeze. But it's not really convincing on the volume. But we'll see. It's kind of like my back burner on longs. But the APLT was really nice, and I did buy some calls. CEI has calls too. Surprisingly, it's got pretty liquid options, so that's another good one. And the QRTEP, this one hit my gap down scan, and this is a clear bear flag now. That rally, see all the volume. There's a lot more sell volume than buying volume on these days, so that was kind of a fake out. So this bear flag is broke, so that's a good short on red on the day, because I suspect it's going to continue down to about 19 a share. And this one did an IPO back in 2020, because the data goes back to about September of 2020, and it's a retail. I think it's one of those cycle ones where they just did an IPO really late in the cycle, and there's a lot of those. Rates were lower back then, but I'm not sure what their rates are, but that was kind of what happened with a lot of companies. And the Redfin's been nice. Like, I bought those puts the other day, and it's been acting well. Just keeps making new lows. And the indices are kind of at another inflection point still. I mean, the Nasdaq's really trying to break above that downtrend line, and it's hanging in there surprisingly well. But I think that's the semis supporting it a lot. So the semis still have this uptrend, but it's still going to take a lot to break through that level, because it really didn't like that level last time. But the semiconductors, a lot of their earnings are this week, so I think after the end of this week we'll know the direction. But I think there may be just smaller companies, semiconductors earnings this week. I'm not sure when the big ones are, but it's still something I'm watching. And the TSE, it still looks like a bear flag to me, but it needs to go down a lot more. It needs to really take out this line here. So it's gonna need to clear this low, which is 643. So it needs to come down to about 642, because that was a big level. So it's not really showing that it wants to come down now. So that's kind of my back burner short watch, because it has puts, but they're not really liquid. So it's not my favorite. But it is still a setup if it breaks that bear flag. And the charging stocks continue to be weak too. Like CHPT has been great. I still have these $3. I have the $3 put strikes. I have the $3 strikes. The are like November. So I'm really happy with that. And it's just been a mess. This stock price. The Blink's not so much. It's kind of teetering on breaking down, but my hunch is this one's going to break down too, along with the EVgo. I mean, EVgo is acting pretty well now as a short too. It's like putting up these weak bear flags, really weak. It's another weak bear flag. Bear flag. So it looks like it's about to hit lows again too. So I believe I still have those puts too a bit, but I've been in and out of these puts a lot on these charging stocks, but I do have pretty substantial puts on them now. They're kind of my favorite short setup now. And we can look at some more indices here. The Russell, it's trying to hold that level too. Like surprisingly, it came up here. Like I thought it was gonna try and stay in that channel, but it popped out of the channel again. So pretty undecided here what it's gonna do. It's got a major level there. And XHB I kind of suspected it was going to pop up. It's done that in the past after these big spike down days. Like here, it kind of went up a little bit, up a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's up tomorrow, really, based on how it acts after these big red days. But it's at a big, it's near lows too. But these things are trying to break up. Like, see, it broke the down channel, but I'm still bearish on the sector. And supernovas is the GDHG. This thing just keeps going, and I think I said that in my other video. Like sometimes these things just keep going and going. So that's nice though, because it's gonna have a big move down, and it needs to take out the previous day's low. So it's going to need to take out 1250. If it hits 1250, it's a short. Like if that's the best level to short, the safest. But yeah, it could gap up a lot and then fade out. But this thing could keep going. But it's getting close to being topped out here, I suspect. But you never know. These things can go. So I still like Siri. I like the CEI. I mean, the APLT is still a nice chart. I may even add to that. We'll see. But I did put on some calls in CEI and Siri and shares in this one. And that's all I wanted to cover, really. I just wanted to cover those stocks. So I'll catch you next time.